What happens is I'm going, well, wait a minute, you've got all this stuff, great position, family, health. I mean, just go like lifestyle. So how come you're not well? Because I'm doing good in all those things. Because that stuff works and it's good and it's rewarding. And but then it becomes it actually became too much to do. And you just couldn't keep all the balls in the air. And because there was something like you can't please enough.
Hey gang, welcome back to the Wild at Heart podcast. It is the week of November 4th. Gadzooks.
Yes.
It is election week.
Yes.
Christ have mercy. Lord have mercy. Christ have mercy. Poof. We'll probably be praying into that as you all are, and then into next week. But there's a poster on the wall behind us if you're watching by YouTube, and this is episode 4 in the release of Wild at Heart, the series. These beautiful cinematic stories. We were originally calling it like a Netflix series.
Right.
In fact, when we were cooking this up, Daniel, the director, and I were using Chef's Table. Have you ever seen Chef's Table?
Yeah, I've seen some episodes.
Oh my gosh, it's just so well done. And it's like the beauty of it and the narrative and the storytelling.
Yes.
Anyway, it's not on Netflix because we just wanted to get it out to the entire world for free. It's on YouTube. And so the last episode, episode 4, Sam's episode, is available. So you can watch the trailer. You can watch the episode in the show notes here. This one is, it's one of my favorites because it's a story about betrayal and trust, mm-hmm. and men coming out of isolation, you know?
Right.
So before we go there, gang, we're going to take our pause and just give your week and your day to God. Jesus, there are so many things I already need to lay down this week. So many things I care about, but I'm already spun up. And so I just want to take a moment with my friends. Just pay attention to your body right now. Is it filled with tension? Let's just take a few deep breaths, everybody. Just pay attention to your thoughts. Are you already racing? Let's just quiet. Just take a moment of quiet. Take a few deep breaths. And what we're trying to do, Jesus, is I give everyone and everything to you. That's what we're trying to do here. So the people that I'm already carrying and the stuff that I'm already worried about, just stop and give it to you. Just take a moment, friends. I give everyone and everything to you, God. That's right. I give everyone and I give everything to you. And would you breathe life into us, breath of God. Breathe life into us again, into my heart, into my body, to my soul. And come and meet us in this week's podcast. I know you have something for us. Amen. All right, we get to welcome the man on the paddleboard into the studio here by Zoom. Sam, aloha from Hawaii, pal. How are you today?
Well, good. Beautiful morning here. And good to be with you guys. Good to see you guys.
Yeah, it's been quite a few years since you've been on the podcast, but Sam's not completely unknown to our audience if you've been to boot camp. You've probably heard Sam tell some of his story. And oh gosh, your episode, Sam, is just so beautiful in the series. So it's good to have you back here and let our listening audience into your life a little bit. So you are on the Big Island, but you're not on the coast. You're not on the beach. You're up in the hills.
Yeah. Here on the Big Island. Big Island's called Hawaii Island, and we're up at Waimea. We're at 2,800 feet. If you woke up here one morning and didn't know where you were, you thought you'd be in Oregon or Ireland. It's green pastures, rolling hills, cowboy country, and not the typical part of Hawaii people think of. It's awesome. I mean, the tropics at elevation is like, so my house has no heating or cooling. It's jealousy windows, and if you want it to be warmer, you close the windows. If you want it to be cooler, you open them. And it's home. We're fortunate to raise a family here, and it's a neat community, but it's different than what most people think of as Hawaii. It's not on the coast; it's up country, and
it's almost like it's a little bit like hometown America. I mean, you live in a small town.
Yep, yeah, it's about 3,000 people proper, about 6,000 people in the area, and it's not a big tourist destination, so. It's it's just a regular kind of rural America type of town with incredible people and an incredible history. And we're very fortunate to have called this home for 32 years.
Yeah, we want to tell folks how you got here in just a minute, a little bit about your career and into your story, because that's what we're after this week is your story.
Yes.
But you're married to your wife, Lori, for how many years now?
32 as well. Yeah. We were, 32.
Okay.
And my best friend.
Which is a remarkable thing to say when you hear the story, gang.
Yes.
And then you have two beautiful adult children now and a grandchild on the way.
Yeah.
So.
Oh gosh, that's our latest news. Yeah. Son Hunter, daughter Jessie. Hunter's 30, Jessie's 28. Jessie lives in DC and is doing her dream job, working for the United Nations in the refugee program. Go figure that. Both born and raised here. And after college, she wanted to go pursue her career there, and she's doing her dream job. And it's a long ways from Waimea. And she's thriving and loving that deal. A little different than where she was raised. And then son Hunter, he couldn't wait to get home after college. It's not untypical for when you raise a family here. They can go different directions. And Hunter wanted to come home, and he's married his high school sweetheart, and yet they're expecting their first here in February.
Congratulations, man. But you didn't grow up on the Big Island yourself, and we want to get into a little bit of your story because I think it's going to connect. There's going to be some moments in your story that's really going to connect with our crowd. And you and I both go back to Southern California, not as friends. We didn't know each other, but we were both raised in Southern California in the 60s and all that. So you kind of had the sort of the ideal, I don't know, like church, American thing going on there.
Yeah. It's, contrary to what people think, Southern California is an incredible place. It gets criticized a lot, but I feel very fortunate to have been raised there in the 60s and 70s, graduated college in 1980, and haven't really, and it's fun to go visit. It was Southern California, orange groves, strawberry fields, and it was a great place to grow up. And my dad was a doctor, one of the last of the great family practitioners, general surgeon, very successful, Midwestern guy. Go to California, be the start his own practice, thriving family practice, hero in the town. If I had a nickel for every time somebody said, your dad, he saved my marriage, he saved my life. And so 5 kids. I was the um, I'm the middle child, the well-adjusted middle child, and and 2 older brothers, 2 younger sisters. Yep, strong Christian family background, church every Sunday, 3 times actually a week, and Sunday school in the morning, and then church, and then go home. And you couldn't go out and play. You had to take a nap because it was the Lord's Day, and then back to church that evening for choir practice, and then youth group, and then night service, and learn your verses and be dressed perfect, and suit and tie every Sunday, your Bible verses memorized, and we used to get they gave you pins for attendance, and I had like an 11-year perfect attendance, and that was a big deal. And it was one of those churches also where like they kept a scoreboard by the door, like that, said how many people were saved this week, how many people recommitted. And it was like just, that was a big part of our life. And it was, as I look back on it now, I thank God my mom got my ass to church every Sunday. But during the time, particularly going into adolescence, it was like, I was at church, but actually we would ditch a lot and go to the bowling alley and then come back later.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Those attendance pins. I just love that story, man. That is back in the day.
It is.
And every family has their pew, not necessarily with their name on it, but you sit in the same place every week. And it's the thing about your story that I want to start unpacking is things can look really good on the outside. But then you got a whole different world going on the inside. And so you have this really sweet family story going on, and dad, the doctor, and mom, the homemaker, and all that, and regular church attendance.
Yes.
And, but Sam, what I want you to do is take our listeners into, but then.
So it's, I'm 6. My parents are going to get a divorce, and and I'm 6. So I'm not really sure what to do with that. But it didn't make sense, like that. Dad was leaving, and that wait a minute, how could that be possible? Christian families don't break up. And so all of a sudden we're still going to church, but like we're the family that's dad's not there anymore. And but we kept going, and obviously that's just what it was. But there was like, wait a minute, what happened? And so that was that was the thing. And we and then so that was the first kind of big disruption of like, wait a minute, this is maybe not as perfect as it seems.
Yeah. And then they get back together, which is kind of a wild thing. And then they break up again.
Yeah. I mean, this is in the early 70s when this is before there was a thing called the Family Law Act, where there was no irreconcilable differences at the time. Someone had to be proven guilty in a divorce. And so you had all that rant, all the talk at home that goes with that. And I'm 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, hearing about, each side and who's right and who's wrong. And so that was my deal. But then, oh gosh, it was awesome. My parents got back together, and I was 14 years old. And and we were. It was like, okay, now we're going to be like the other the other people, or how you're supposed to be. And we were at a different church at the time, and I was really involved in the youth group, and it was awesome. And and had my dad back, and he's helped me get into the game of golf, and I was pretty good, and so I got to do that a lot, and we became close, and then one day we're at church, and my dad's going to come Sunday. He's not coming, but we're there, and he picks me up, and we're going to go play golf that afternoon, and Johnny gave me a letter that day, and what it was is it was a letter from, and I didn't read it. It was a letter. He's telling me about it. He said it's a letter from one of the senior pastors to my mom, and it's this pastor pursuing my mom in a romantic way, and it like blew my mind. Like, wait a minute, that can't be. This is really messed up, and I, right in the car there in the parking lot as we're driving away to golf, I just, nothing out loud, but I just said, this is all a lie. I'm done. I don't trust my parents. I don't trust this church, and I don't trust this God thing. And I walked away from my faith there at age 15 from that day. And I didn't cry. I didn't get pissed or anything. I just said, that was it. And I mean, I didn't go back for 20 years.
Oof. Wow. Oof. Wow. So Sam, how did that changed your view of the church in that way? How did it change your view maybe of God at that time?
Ellen, it was, again, I didn't kind of say anything out loud or punch a wall, but I just said, this is all a lie, including God. That I'm not even sure there is a God. Because, and of course I can think about it now, because to me, church and God were the same thing. And I'm looking around, that everybody's happy and everything's great. And this is where you go to get God. This is where you go to get it together. This is where, at the church and the church group and my peers and the pastors and these guys really seem to have it together. And so that was, to me, that was the same as God. And that's where, like I said, you go to church because that's where you get God. And so they were all the same in my mind. In my 15-year-old mind, it was like, and it's just, this can't, if this is what's going on here, then, and then, that was also at the time when my parents they got divorced again, and I chose to go with my dad. And, but it was really, it's just because, my dad meant that I was going to have some freedom and some money in my pocket and be able to pursue, what I wanted to do. And so it was all tied together in my mind. Alan, God, family, people, relationships. It's all, you can't trust any of this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the listeners who are Sam and my age, the song that's playing in the back of my head right now, guys, remember Don Henley's song, The End of the Innocence?
Yeah. Right?
Since mommy and daddy had to lie, this is the end of the innocence. That song just wrecks me. It just wrecks me every time I hear it. The loss of innocence is just so huge. However it comes to a child's life, whatever age it comes. Yeah. And Alan, have you noticed this? Like, if you listen to people's stories, it's like the enemy keeps throwing something particular at us. I mean, hurling it at us. And for me, it was abandonment. And I just had this recurring theme of abandonment in my life. Have you noticed that?
Totally. Yeah. It's like the enemy finds this chink, often creates the chink in the armor of the wound. And then that theme becomes this dominant weapon.
Frick, man, he just works it.
Yeah.
He works it. And so, Sam goes on to have a kind of a successful golf career, and you're in Arizona and you're a golf pro. And then the second, same kind of thing, right? It's like betrayal comes in again in that part of your life.
Yeah, I was a high performer, John, and I love hospitality. I love helping others live well. Being a club pro in golf that's really what you're doing. Golf just happens to be the vehicle. The game is about. That was my avenue into, not really knowing what I wanted to do. It was like, oh, I could get into this, and got offered a good assistant pro and head pro job, and yep, it was in. Arizona, involved with working for developers is what I've done in the golf development part, and then leading to other things. But got my first head pro job at age 25 in a new project, which was kind of unusual. But I was pretty good at again helping others have a good time and helping set the table for people to come and enjoy their leisure time. And so, and then married, but pretty, wound up in, wound up in my performance and being on and really, that part was, I was good at that, but, well, let's see, married for 5 years, didn't know kids, but, came home one day and found my wife in the shower with one of my assistant pros, and just whammo, I ran out of that house, threw my wedding ring into the desert, and just said, this is another lie, and we got divorced, and we never saw each other again after that. And that put me into a time of I moved up into a canyon, got into triathlons as a means of kind of coping. And, this is in the 80s. Triathlons were just kind of getting going, but that was my way of trying to do something a little bit every day to feel good about myself. And it was and at the time I didn't see it, but it was like, oh, here we go again. That same, like, wait a minute.
Right.
You thought it was this way, and then it was that way.
Yeah. That's what I mean about the enemy coming in to just take us out again. I grew up in an alcoholic home, and my dad was a full-blown alcoholic. My mom was like what we call a functioning or a social alcoholic. And I get into marriage, and just unbeknownst to Stace and her brokenness, and to me, she develops an eating disorder, which has a lot of the same dynamics to it: the secrecy, the compulsion, the addiction, and then all the stuff out of that. And I'm just same thing. It's like, wait, what? This is happening again? You're kidding me. But Sam, I'm just so grateful. Thanks for your honesty. Thanks for your honesty here today with us, and thanks for your honesty on camera in the episode, because you ain't alone in this. And there's a lot of people that are resonating right now with the stories of, this isn't what I thought it was.
Right.
And betrayal, and then trust, and how do you trust again? And we introduced, Sam as being married to Lori, second wife, for 32 years. So just hold out the hope there for a minute, everybody. Like, hang on to the story here, because it gets a little darker, but then it gets better. So you go get lost in the world of resort development, and it's a pretty shiny world, man. Like you get to do some pretty cool stuff, because of the golf and the resort development, and kind of your gift set being really good with the rich and famous and the elite of the elite. Walk us into your career a little bit and how that winds you up in that world and winds you up in Hawaii?
I got got called to go do a project in Bali, Indonesia, a golf development there. And because of some of the things we've done in Arizona and so, the headhunter calls, I go down there and check it out. And like, it's Bali, Indonesia. It's incredible. This is 1991. And, the Gulf War is going on. You remember how we were all glued to CNN? And I get down there and like, just the drive from the airport to the place of the interview, that's like, it's third world country. So like most of the people are on, a family of 5 could be on the back of a moped. And like, it's just crazy. And it's this beautiful exotic place, but then it's also like wild. And I go there and went, oh, I'm not so sure. And I come back and the few weeks goes by, and Lori and I had started dating, and like what I'm getting at is that I needed a shove and to trust what I could go into and like to take it on. And it was actually Lori who said, "You sure you don't want to check that out?" And headhunter calls again, and I said, "Well, yeah, I'll go look at it again, but you gotta fly me and my girlfriend back down." And of course, we go there, and like Lori's going, "We gotta do this. This is awesome." And it's like she was really the impetus, and yeah, took it on. So yep, got 2 years in Bali. I wish every American had a chance to live outside their country for a while. Or your worldview just goes a little bit like, because we're facing fellows, we're kind of in a bubble here in the world scene. And like, so that was, yes, John, I got to set that up, play with the presidents of these countries and that, because, high-end golf development was not in that world at the time. And so, and the VIPs in that world are military generals and sultans and prime ministers. And so, yep, that to me comes pretty natural. So to be with those kind of guys and just, be at golf, help them have a good day and time. And so that's, and then, yep, got the call to, from the group that we'd done a project in Arizona with, that Lori was actually the general manager. She was my boss. And we got the call to kind of put the team back together and come to a project in Hawaii called Hualalai Resort, which was Four Seasons Hotel, Jack Nicklaus Golf Course, Japanese owner. If somebody said, "Sam, what do you want to do? Where do you want to do it? And who do you want to do it with?" I got all 3 in one phone call. It was live in Hawaii, do a project on the Big Island with people that I love and a woman that I love and trust. And that's when God brought us here, 32 years ago, and got to be involved with the group that developed that project. And it was very successful: hotel, real estate, golf, spa. And then, that's, yep. And then got to go on and do a couple other projects here. And been very fortunate to, Lori and I got married, started children. I mean, love came back around again. Trust her, trust her heart. I mean, she's my best friend, but she's my lover. She's my partner. To get that to come back around was like, it was like a really, and that was a real shift for me.
So, Sam, that world you're describing, the resort development, bright and shiny, big movers and shakers, you're comfortable with them, but tell us more. What was that world like from the inside?
Oh, yeah, because listeners are, they're either watching this or listening, and they're going, well, come on. Yeah, he had some rough spots in his story, but my gosh, they live in Hawaii, works in Hawaii. This is all incredible.
Yes.
And we got to take some of the shiny off of that.
Yeah, guys, it's, I'll tell you what, surprise, we don't drink Mai Tais and go to the beach every day. It's life at the end of the day here in Hawaii. You bet. It's it, some people would call it heaven on earth. Yep, it was my dream as a kid growing up. I came here summers in high school and spent summers here with my older brother. It was always my dream to get back here. So that's like you bet. It was like, I get to do what, where, but still life. And in fact, it got to a point where sometimes you can be surrounded by such beauty and such awesomeness that it's disruptive. And it provokes so how come I'm not more happy? How come I seem to have stuff? How come I can be doing all this great stuff and helping people live well and enjoy a lifestyle or advocate a lifestyle of relax, be more relaxed, breathe, live well, eat well, play well, and then I still got stuff, and I can be in moods that I can't explain and be an asshole to my wife. So what? That it can actually be more incongruent when you're in such on the outside. It's going, wait a minute, you seem to have it all together, and people really want your thing, and you can actually be I was in a place where I had more lifestyle than I had life, and I mean life so how come I still got all these doubts and fears, and can go like this, and my wife and kids don't know which version of dad they're going to get that day when I come home from work, and it's you bet it's not as shiny as it looks on the outside, and it can actually create because of the dissonance between the two. You go, I mean, we've all been in a place where everything seems to be amazing, so what's wrong?
Yeah. So Sam, what started your journey from that point back toward God? How did he get your attention? How did that begin from that point you just described to the man you are now?
Well, and remember, everybody, we left God at 15. We left God in the parking lot of the church.
Yeah.
And he's not been a part of the story for a while now. I think you said something like 20 years.
Yeah. Here's the deal: is that it wasn't just a lightning bolt deal. It was for me. It was that how to describe it? Incongruence or the blessing, if some people might use that language. So I'm literally back in Hawaii. My son is born. I'm sitting on the 18th fairway of the golf course we're about to open. I'm set to play the opening with Jack Nicklaus, who was like my dad's idol. My dad's coming back to watch me play this opening round exhibition. And I'm with a friend. And I know there's got to be something bigger going on here. And so I was and it's tender at the time. It's still tender but it's a beautiful tender from the standpoint of I'm sitting in this golf cart with this photographer guy. He's become a friend. And I know he's like this full on Christian guy, but he's not this, he doesn't tackle me with his faith. And I'm describing what I'm feeling like. This is amazing, like this. And then he goes, and he goes, well, Sam, and he knew a bit of my story of my upbringing and my faith and then walking away from my faith. And he looked at me and goes, but Sam, you do believe in God. And it just hit me that's true. And fellas, I hadn't been, that hadn't crossed my mind, and that conversation started this pursuit of okay, I need to, that's not going away. And I if that's true, what does that mean? And so, then I started, we got invited to a home church here, and then my daughter Jessie was born, and I'm just going, this, you're starting to face your humanity, and you start to ask these big questions. Even though I've got all this success, I'm going, wait a minute. That was what started a pursuit of like conversations with guys that believed in God. And so, what is that like? And then guys started handing me books, like edgy Christian books, because they knew I was searching and seeking. And and my pastor gives me this book called Wild at Heart, and because he never read it, but he thought it was about being an outdoorsy guy, and so he gave it to me because I was like this guy that seemed to go on these runs and swims and stuff. So that was part of a variety of things, but. Alan, that was kind of the day, that one particular day was when it started to shift. And then it was like a kind of a search began.
And then God drops that caddy into your story, that really intriguing caddy that everybody, all the rich and famous, wanted to be their caddy for the day.
Yeah. There was this caddy there that he was a former tour caddy, so he was really good. And then he had this kind of this steadiness about him, and he wasn't really kind of. He just seemed like a solid guy, and so he and I started having conversations, and he pulls out, and I gotta get this stuff. He pulls out, he gives me 2 CDs. You gotta remember, this is when we had those CDs, and it wasn't like you go on YouTube or any of that stuff. And there are 2 CDs of John Eldredge giving a talk at a men's retreat in California. And I listened to these 2 CDs, and now I'd read this book, and that was kind of neat, but it was this audio thing that was in just this, and it's CDs, but they're like, you're hearing things like film clips from movies about men and life and coming alive and freedom and stuff that I'm just going, whoa, what's going on here? This seems to be kind of awakening something here. And that's, so I go back to this book, the Wild at Heart book, because it was like, and I start to read it again. And then I go to the back of the book, and on the back page there's www.ransomheart.com. That's when you guys called it Ransom Heart. And there was, so I go on the website. Now you got to remember, this is 2003, and like websites were kind of new. And I go on this website, and it says, you can, we do these events called boot camps. And you could sign up and you could come, and they said you could get your heart back. It's like, what? Get your heart back? Like, I don't hear that on Sunday. And so I sign up to go to this deal, and it's in Colorado, and like I'm like the last guy that would sign up for a men's Christian retreat. Like, I got visions of like, a bunch of really perfect Christian guys coming around saying, let me tell you my testimony, and just all my stuff from my earlier church experiences started coming back. And then the issue of like, oh gosh, that's not going to go well. And I go, and oh boy, that was the event that God used to reshape this life that's available with God.
Yeah. I love the intimate pursuit of God.
I do too.
Right? Pablo was a real estate deal. He was trying to close a real estate deal with a guy in Miami, and the guy's like, hey, why don't you come over to my house? And hey, why don't you read this book? And how's your life? And his, and this is a caddy who gives you a couple CDs. And I just love the intimate pursuit of God and winning back your trust, just like Lori helped you to trust love again. And then God's bringing guys into your life to help you trust friendship again and come out of isolation, right? And then he's wooing you back to his heart.
It's so beautiful in that the enemy had set Sam up from boyhood to where the antidote could have been, I can live in this world of the rich and famous and shiny, and it can numb me from the pain I have.
Totally.
And I can skate through that with people who would validate that. And Sam knew just how to engage with that clientele and could do it. You do it really well. So you were set up by the enemy to have lived a life where God never had access again, because you could have just drifted and coasted along that for the rest of your life. And yet through the caddy and through an emptiness inside, like you said, John, God woos Sam back to his presence and heals his heart.
Well, what happened is that, you bet, that's how I got loved, was to please people, and so I became very good at that, and then it just it was working for a while, but then what happens is I'm going, well, wait a minute, you've got all this stuff, the great position, family, health, just go like lifestyle. So what, how come you're not well? Because I'm doing good in all those things. And it's almost like, because that stuff works and it's good and it's rewarding. And, but then it becomes, it actually became too much to do, and you just couldn't keep all the balls in the air, and because there was something like you can't please enough, and to know that that I'm not alone, that God loves me He loves me because He loves me, and it's not because of what I do or not because of what I don't do. That wasn't, I didn't know that was available. And then to be rooted in that was like, okay, now we can go into relationships, and it's a total different orientation for me.
Yeah, just so grateful, Sam. You're such a good storyteller, and I don't think people realize this. You're a very, very private person. You're an introvert like me. I don't know if people know that about me, but I'm actually an introvert, and I love my privacy and I love solitude. And last summer, I went away for 16 days of solitude in the mountains, and I was just happy. I was just bliss. And so for you to come out and put your story on film, and there's a lot more to the story in the episode. The episode is so beautiful, folks. You're gonna love the climax and the conclusion of the series here with the invitation for guys. There's the outside and the inside, right? There's the outside and the inside. There's your story and there's God, and kind of what are you going to do with all that? What are you going to do? What are the choices you're going to make, yes, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's huge.
To have a peace and a strength and a life that is, it's a gift for me. It's just a gift to receive. And it's not based on my performance or my productivity, and but I do want to love well.
That is an extraordinary statement. from a man who's coming out of a story of the profound betrayal
Right.
of trust, like that.
Right.
Like, I just want to cheer and run around the building and wave a flag and tell everybody this is available. This, like, you can get past your story
Yes.
in order to love. And that's the difference. It's not selfish, and it's not, hey, guess what, everybody, I got my golf score is better than it's ever been in my life. It's like, no, I'm learning to love.
Yes.
That's the gospel, man. That's killer. And so, buddy, thank you. Thanks for the act of love to put your story on film, which is the last thing you would ever choose to do. Thank you. Thank you for that. And you know what we're going to do, everybody? If you're watching by YouTube, we're going to close here in just a second. We're going to roll Sam's trailer. I just want you to see that because it's so gorgeous. It's just beautifully, beautifully filmed. And then you can click on the link. Audio listeners and YouTubers, you can just right there in the show notes, click on the link and watch the episode. Mm-hmm. So all 4 episodes are out now. And as we've been saying through all of these, Sam, we built this for people to give away. We put it on YouTube for people to give away. Like, a guy who needs to hear this story. A woman who needs to hear this story of, like, you can come back from betrayal. You can come back from betrayal by the church.
Yes.
And there's a way. There is a way. And so we want you to watch it, everyone, but we want you to share it. Like, that's the goal. It's let's go help some other hurting hearts out there back to God and his kingdom and what's available, right?
Yes, totally. Yeah. And it's never been easier to share these. And each one of these episodes, one is going to resonate most perhaps with a listener.
Yeah.
But all 4 touch on various aspects that people are struggling with. So please share them. Please get it out there.
Yeah. Yeah. We're already hearing just, actually, killer is a word that Sam put back into my vocabulary, and it's killer. Everybody, the series is killer. So we love you, Sam. We thank you for coming on the podcast today, and thanks for being part of the series and our lives and our relationships, buddy.
Well, great to be with you guys. Thank you for helping some of us see this way that is available and to meet God there. It's been a real, like I said, gift. And so appreciate what you're doing. Yep. The hope is that maybe this will help some other folks too.
Everybody looked at Sam Ainslie and says, this guy has it all.
Perfect wife, perfect kids, perfect job, perfect place.
To be close to Sam is to be close to success. To be close to Sam is to meet influential people that are famous and movers and shakers.
There's just this underlying fear. Because the big things had left.
We spend our entire life climbing a ladder of success, only to find that it's resting against the wrong wall.
I'm out of here. I'm out of this church. This is all a lie. I was good at keeping up appearances. How come I still have these doubts and fears and come off a day where I was amazing and feel empty? I'm on my own.